Good afternoon, morning, everybody, depending on where you're at. Thanks for joining us this Tuesday, April 29th, 2025, for another version of Headline Hits. I hope everybody's doing well today. And if you didn't have a chance, I'm going to recommend you guys check out the show that I did last night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with LW, because we did cover the first 100 days of President Trump's second term, as well as President Biden's 100 days, first days of his term. And today is indeed President Trump's 100 days and his second term in office, and we will get into that as well. But last night, I think that we had a lot of good information comparing the two presidents and putting what you think of either one aside, looking at their policies, the EOs that they took and what they signed or took away or added the first day in office was really an eye-opener. And we can look back at that and put everything else aside and say, hey, was I better off then, or am I better off now? What could have been different that I would have liked to be different? And how can I change my voting? And what do I need to do in order to put people in the seats that represent my views and stuff? So I thought it was a really good, informative show. There's a couple great websites that were up there as well that will show you exactly the executive orders and the actions that presidents have taken, not just with Biden or Trump, but all the way back. It'll show you. So education, I think, is always a good thing over just, an opinion of somebody's personality. Policies affect us. Personalities really don't affect us very deeply. So with that being said, thanks again for joining me. I'm going to play this little short video, and then we'll get into Headline Hits. Also, a reminder that our Facebook new one is being in the process of getting approved. Our old one is going to go away. Unfortunately, we weren't able to reclaim that, if you haven't heard. So that is the heads up on that. If you can spread the word for us, I'd really appreciate it. The new one will be out, and we will let you guys know as soon as we are able to get it out there and get approved. So I will be right back with Headline Hits. So first up, we have today, the border is secure, 100 days into the Trump presidency. Trump has delivered on his campaign promises to secure the United States border, achieving historic reductions in illegal crossings and apprehending dangerous criminals. His administration has implemented tough policies, including designating violent gangs as foreign terrorist organizations and resuming border wall construction to enhance national security and public safety. Through a mass deportation operations and targeted enforcement, the administration has arrested over, check this number out, 150,000 illegal immigrants, including gang members and criminals, while drastically reducing the number of unaccompanied minors, which is very important, crossing that border. The president has taken decisive action to eliminate sanctuary cities. We know that that has been a problem and cost us a lot of money, well as a lot of problems in those cities. It's not sustainable. So he's taken decisive action to eliminate those sanctuary cities and cut federal benefits for illegal immigrants, redirecting resources to support American citizens. What do you think about that? Supporting resources, redirecting them to support American citizens. His administration has also invoked the Alien Enemies Act to dismantle migrant criminal networks and shut down immigration apps to use and exploit the system. We know that there were apps that they were able to use to secure money, secure entry into this country via a plane that the Biden administration allowed them to go on using cards and apps and everything else. So that has been eliminated. With measures like the Laken-Riley Act and executive orders to streamline border security, his policies have transformed the border into the most secure border in American history. So since he took office, he and his administration have ushered in the most secure border, and he didn't need legislation to do it. So President Trump did indeed make good on the promises on his campaign trail that he said he would do to usher in unprecedented era of homeland security. A few of those promises and headlines: we'll close the border, he said. We will stop the invasion of illegals into our country. And then the promises kept, that was promises made. Illegal borders encounters are down by 95%. Illegal immigrants gotaways, the ones that they don't even know and document or even be able to catch, that has went down by 99%. And we know that is a top threat to public safety because we've said on and on, we don't know who's crossing those borders. Not all of them have good intentions. They are doing something illegal entering into this country. Some headlines regarding the border include Fox News' Bill Mello said, if Fox were to send me down there right now to the border, I would have trouble finding a single migrant on camera. CBS immigration reporter said, typically when we go down the U.S.-Mexico border, we at least see one group of people who are trying to cross the U.S. illegally right into here. And they said, we did not see a single migrant. The Wall Street Journal reported border crossings grind to a halt as Trump's tough policies take hold. Bloomberg U.S.-bound migration plunges all the way down to 99% along Panama Jungle Route. And we know the Panama Jungle Route was really bad, that a lot of them got in through there, but that is down. And so within this first 100 days, let's celebrate the fact that the Trump administration has worked hard, risked lives. It's a risky job to do, to take killers, rapists off our streets. All these people that here have caused so much damage to we, the American people, unrightfully so. And that is the first news story for today because I thought those headlines were notable, and we should celebrate the fact that things are being done, things are getting done that is benefiting this country. And then we take into story number 2. And this is part of the problem. Bold-faced lying and derailing of politicians who are so out of touch with reality of the things that the temperament and the things that we, the American citizens, want. And this is a good example. A lot of them are out of touch with the reality, or they're in touch, they just don't want to admit it, about Joe Biden's condition in the White House as the president. On Monday's broadcast of CNN's The Arena, Republican James Clyburn responded to a question on President Joe Biden's decline. And this is what he said. I was not around Joe Biden enough to tell you anything about his decline. And for us to sit here and talk about Joe Biden as if we are physicians and can take these kinds of evaluation, a lot of us are interacting with him who could not make an evaluation like that, and I still can't. So in essence, he's saying we are not doctors, so we cannot claim that there was anything wrong with Joe Biden. He claims he wasn't around him enough to be able to interpret or see that decline. He must have had blinders on because we saw it very clearly. So Clyburn did continue and say Biden was a great president, and no Democrat has a record as good as Biden's since Lyndon Johnson's presidency. He added, now, the fact of the matter is, whatever may or may have not been happening with the decline, I never worked in the White House, so I was not around Joe Biden enough to tell you anything about his decline. I talked to him on the phone a lot. I saw him at events a lot. I saw no more in his decline than I have seen in anybody else's. So once again, this doesn't make sense. We saw it. Some of us were never, ever in touch with him. We saw how he spoke on TV. We saw how he behaved, how he needed to be guided off stages and directed, how he would walk in a certain place that he wasn't supposed to walk to. So he said, and so for us to sit here and talk about Joe Biden as if we were physicians and can make these kinds of evaluations, a lot of us are interacting with him who could not make an evaluation like that, and I still can't. So he is holding ground, drawing a line in the sand. This representative from South Carolina, Democrat, James Clyburn, saying there was nothing wrong with him that he could see. There's nothing he can talk about that was wrong with him. And that's part of the out of touch that these Democrats are, and I think why their party is in such disarray. They can't admit when they're wrong. They can't admit when something is going on, and they want to keep lying and thinking the American citizens are fools that we couldn't see it. And if he's going to tell us Biden was fine, we should believe that he was fine. It's just so frustrating. Up next, we have, unfortunately, more attacks from Russia to Ukraine, Russia launched a sweeping drone assault on Ukraine overnight into Sunday, targeting multiple regions, officials said, after President Trump cast doubt over Russian President Vladimir Putin's willingness to end the war. The attacks came hours after Russia claimed to have regained control over the remaining parts of the Kursk region, which Ukrainian forces seized in a surprise incursion last August. Ukrainian officials said the fight in Kursk was still ongoing. Trump said Saturday that he doubts Putin wants to end the more than 3-year war in Ukraine, and he was expressing new skepticism that a peace deal can even be reached soon. But only a day earlier, Trump had said Ukraine and Russia were very close to a deal, and then that happened. There was no reason for Putin to be shooting missiles into civilian areas, cities, and towns over the last few days, Trump wrote in a social media post as he flew back to the United States after attending Pope Francis's funeral at the Vatican, where he met briefly. We spoke about this, Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky. Trump has also hinted at further sanctions against Russia. Russia fired 149 exploding drones and decoys in the latest wave of the attacks, the Ukrainian Air Force said, adding that 57 were intercepted and another 67 jammed. Russia's defense ministry said Sunday that air defenses shot down 5 Ukrainian drones in the border region of Bryansk, and as well as 3 drones over the Crimean Peninsula, and was illegally actually annexed by Russia in 2014. So we're really not seeing any settle down of this. This has been going back and forth. The pendulum has been swinging back and forth. The president has been trying to negotiate and work with these guys, but it seems like, unfortunately, peace is not going to be anywhere near the future. However, things do change day to day, so we have to stay hopeful and optimistic that something is going to come positively out of this 3-year deal here. Next up, we have that impeachment word is resurfacing. Here we go, you guys. On Sunday, during an appearance on CNN's State of the Union, Senate Majority Leader, we know, Chuck Schumer, Chucky, did not rule out impeaching President Trump if Democrats take control of Congress. So host Dana Bash of CNN for the show said your colleague from Georgia, Senator Jon Ossoff, told voters at a town hall that he strongly agrees that President Trump should be impeached. Once again, here we go, coming out of the state of Georgia. Do you agree with him? Would that be part of a priority if Democrats were to take back Congress? Schumer said, well, look, right now, President Trump is violating the rule of law in every way, and we're fighting him every single day and every single way. We see that. And our goal is to show the American people over and over again, where it's the economy, whether it's the tariffs, whether it's Russia and overseas, and whether it's a rule of law, how bad he actually is. And you know, it's 2 years away. It's too far to predict. Our job day to day is to show who Trump is, what he is doing, and it's having an effect on your polls as they show. Bash said, you're not ruling out. And Schumer continued, the American people are realizing. So Bash said, you're not saying no to impeachment. And Schumer said, look, it's too far away to even judge. So my thoughts on this are Dana Bash, the host of CNN, once again is bringing up the thought of impeachment. We didn't hear that about any of the ongoings and shenanigans from the last administration, but because Trump is doing what is better for the United States of America, protecting us from the theft that is going on with what DOJ is finding, the corruption, and these illegals that have caused harm to our citizens. I don't know how he is saying that Chuck Schumer is saying that Trump is doing all the wrong things in all the wrong ways. So take it for what you will, but that is why it is so important when it comes up to the midterms, you guys, that we pay attention, that we vote in the people that are going to have our best interests at heart, and we do have to keep control over the Congress. We cannot let the Dems come in at this point, these off to the left Dems who have tried to destroy this country. Now, I'm not saying all of them are that way, but you have to really make sure that your vote is the vote for the person that is going to do the best as your interest in what you want for this country, because they're already starting to bring in that word impeachment. And that was shocking to me. It shouldn't be, but it was, because I thought we've long passed that. So much for the two parties coming together, so much for unifying, and so much for keeping saying that Trump is such a bad guy doing all the wrong things. Really, he put his foot in his mouth, because I don't think there's many people in this country that are against what President Trump has done for this country in his first 100 days in office. And then next up we have, this was amazing to see. Trump's staff put out mugshots of the illegals arrested across the White House lawn to show the ones that they have arrested. And boy, it was a fight to see. Pam Bondi was talking about the raid that took place in a Colorado Springs nightclub on Sunday. It had involved over 300 agents from the DEA, FBI, and the U.S. Marshals that ended up arresting 115 illegals, confiscating 12 guns and a bunch of drugs. The club has had 170 911 calls for violence and gunshots during the Biden administration, and not surprisingly, nothing happened. The Sinaloa cartel was there as well, involved in this. Bondi said what was happening at the club all this time was, when you walked in, there was a menu of drugs for you to pick up and choose from to be able to use in the club. And in the bathrooms of that club, prostitution was happening and going on. So nothing was done during the Biden administration, apparently, with over 170 911 calls. And this raid that took place arrested the 115 illegals. So don't believe the hype out there of them, the people saying that President Trump and his administration were raiding innocent Latina and other people of other ethnicities that were just out having a night on the town, enjoying their evening in this club. This club has a history of drugs and violence and prostitution, and that is what really happened. Next up, we have, this is a good news. First Lady Melania Trump scores a big victory for our children, you guys, across this great country, as the bill that targets internet predators goes to the president's desk to be signed into law. The bill safeguards children from hurtful online behavior, including deep fake nudes that sweep across the internet, causing a major impact on the children and families and friends that are used to facilitate this type of internet content. We did a big story on that on Headline Hits as well. So yes, the bill was active. The bill was put out there. First Lady Melania Trump, and I think it was Ted Cruz, were talking about this bill. The bill has made it to the president's desk to be signed into law, and that is a huge relief and a wonderful thing, because the internet these days can be so dangerous, even more so than it was before, with AI and the ability to facilitate deep fake pictures of people on bodies or whatever they want to do, causing crimes. You know, there's so many bad things that you can do with AI and stuff now. And unfortunately, there's money to be made by these people that are doing it. So thank goodness that there is a law that is going to stop or cause consequences for people who do this, especially against innocent children. And then once again, if you didn't check our show out last night, like I said, we did play, it was an awesome video too, of Trump from 1987 on CNN's Larry King on his show. And basically what is important about this is it shows that he was who he was then, who he is now. Everything he said back then is what he's saying now. So the people that want to paint him in a bad picture, in a bad light, saying he's a dictator and all these bad things like we talked about on the show last night, isn't true. Trump laid out in 1987 in this video the problems that the United States of America would face. He was talking about how we are paying all these tariffs to other people and just sending tons of money and product out of this country and really not getting much back. And he was right. We look at the decline from 1987 to now with this country and how he's working very hard to turn this around with these tariffs. And it was an amazing video to watch. And I say that's why it's important for us to have these abilities to go on the internet and find information and stuff, and it not be censored, it not be wiped out. Like we know a lot of things have been wiped out on the internet, but it's important for us so we can have a scale to go back and research these people before we vote for them, before we believe any media on either side of what they're saying about a person, that we do our own research and understand the context of why the person is saying what they're saying about somebody else. So if you get a chance, go ahead and check the show from last night. I think that you'll find a lot of benefits out of there, a lot of information out of there. And then last up, we have today at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, our great president is going to have a rally, the first one that he has had since his second term started. He's only traveled a little bit for business here and there, but this is the first time he's traveling for a rally. It's in the great state of Michigan, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. He's going to cover his campaign promises, promises made, promises kept. He's going to talk about his administration and what they are doing and have done to facilitate these promises he made us as a president, as running for president on his campaign. So I think it ought to be an interesting and wonderful to watch and see what he has to say. It is open to the public. You do have to get tickets like all of them, and you have to get screened before you go in. But I'm so looking forward to watching that today at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to see exactly in detail what he has to say and what his administration is doing and how he's facilitating it. So basically, it's a one-stop shop to get all the information instead of going independently, looking at individual EOs and individual things and try to put it together. He's going to have that for you at his rally this evening, and I think it's great. So that's what I have for you guys for Headline Hits today, this Tuesday, April 29th, 2025. Thanks for joining me now, and those of you who are watching later, thank you for joining me. All you new subscribers and new people thanks for checking us out. I hope you like what we have to offer you. We have more shows that are going to come down the pipes as well as we build this channel. But in the meantime, that's what I have for today. Take care. God bless you guys. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday, and I will catch you guys tomorrow right back here on the LWN network with Headline Hits at noon Eastern Standard Time. I'll talk to you then. Bye-bye.